Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, so I see that some of you are jumping the gun. What is observed there? Something you see what? Evolution of man from what they call an ape to what they now called a near man. Looking at the picture, where do you see continuity and where do you see change? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. The continuity is where the man now evolves
Where the
continuously.
man?
As man dies, man is born. That's the continuity. Then the
No.
change is from the ape-like feature then to a human man like we see today.
Okay. So you can see that from the very beginning, you cannot from the very beginning, you see something that we will say a monkey, right? And that monkey continued to the second picture. That is, if you are starting from, I think my left, your right. The very first picture, you see something like a monkey crawling on all four. And then what is there is like a gorilla or chimpanzee. The second, the third, 1, 2, 3, 4. By the fifth person, the figure has lost most of its facial hair and can balance perfectly on two legs. Hello? So we see continuity from the first, second, third, almost fourth image. The fifth image is like the turning point from the ape stage to what we turn now as the modern man. And then so that place is something like the middle or the turning point. And then from that, human beings, you see a semblance of the modern human being. This is what science claim that how we came about. Being Big Bang theory, then evolution. You say evolution makes more sense than the creation story. I say that each of these stories have questions to answer. And our understanding of how we evolved is not too perfect with any of the two approaches. But for science, they claim that this one makes more sense. It is more empirical based than the 6 literal days creation story that we find in the Bible. Understand that Muslim version is not any different from the Christian version. Always when I ask our Muslim brethren, what is their interpretation of man's evolution? Then they start to chicken away. Do you have any Muslims on the page?
Yes,
Any
please,
Muslim?
Doc.
Okay.
Yes,
Azika, what is the Muslim version of evolution? Or how man was created?
okay. I'm not too sure about that, but the little I can say is man, God created man, and then from man, he created a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and then eh, so this
Hey,
one I don't have the scripture base.
that's what they say. You don't have the scripture base. But you guys have the
Ye-
Quran, and this should be in the Quran. Is it? It's not. Is it not in the
Yes,
Quran? Okay, so your
From the
is this
that's what I'm saying. It's in the Quran, but the facts that I should I've forgotten anyway. I've
okay?
read it, but I've forgotten.
So your own is it six
But
literal days or
eh,
is it six literal days or more? How many days did
that
God
God
use to create the world?
actually with the creation of the world, when they talk about the days, it's not like our today's days, like the 24 hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
That is not how the God mean about his days he used to create the world.
Mm-hmm.
So from the perspective of the Quran, the day, I don't know, cannot be measured as our today's day. Like they use 7 days, or is it 6 days to create the world and they rested on the seventh
Seventh day.
day as the Bible claims.
Okay, so the
So
Christian
the
says that.
Quran tells, yes,
Go ahead.
the Quran tells us that God created the world.
Mm-hmm.
God created the world with the periods. The periods are not like the days that we claim today.
Okay.
Eh, eh, yes,
So
so but
you think
it's not far different from the Christian creation, but there is a little difference.
okay.
I'm not so sure about it.
Okay. The day that I'll
I
get a
read it.
Muslim, the day that I'll get a Muslim who is able to able to tell me this story, I'll give the person a prize.
So I promise to tell you, I don't want
Hmm.
to lie or bring personal sentiments into it. But I'll personally, even if we finish this, but I'll personally tell you.
Okay, I'll be waiting. So
Yes, sir.
let's continue. So we say that to be able to think like a historian does, we need to be able to identify things that have continued almost in the same form and things that have changed over time. And we call that continuity and change, right? To be able to establish that something has not changed in form, we need to be able to monitor how the thing has evolved or the thing has been over time. The point I want, you have to serialize it. So if you pick your own pictures from class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 6, JSS1, JSS2, JSS3, or junior high 1, junior high 2, junior high 3, SS1, SS2, SS3, SS4, university to date, you will see how your face has changed over time. It's not just your face, your entire physical being has changed over time. At times, especially for guys, they might not even know that their bodies are going through changes, except for, let's say, in the puberty age. If you ask a guy to give you a picture of himself, the picture that will give you at least will be like 4 or 5 years old. But for our female version, every minute they take new picture. So with them, you could see how they evolve or they've changed from time to time. And surprisingly, there are a few people, they don't change much. Their face is almost like the same. Their body almost the same. Some slight changes. And others, the change is drastic. There are times that I meet colleagues of mine, classmates of mine, and they look like my dad. Very old, wrinkled, but the same age. So their change is quite drastic, is quite visible. Whilst others, it is sudden, right? But the point is that nothing in reality continues in the same state in perpetuity. there are slight changes faces the they may some changes, but the change is not much. Are you following the argument?
Yes, please do.
Hello?
Yeah.
The change is not that much. So we say that historical thinking involves the ability to identify the element of continuity and change in historical accounts. It details the ability to decipher what has persisted over time with minimum alterations and what has transformed over time. Equally important is the identification of turning points. So the point I'm driving is that the middle portion between how you used to look and how you look now is where we term as the turning point. Now let's go to the women that always watch their images very, very well. Since let's say, where are some of the women? Is it Christian or Christiana? I think it's Christian. Christiana. Ovary. Christiana. Or let me pick Esther. Esther Bachua. Hello, Esther. Olivia. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Olivia.
Yes, sir.
Um, when did you change to your current figure?
I don't know. I don't think I changed because those that I know, they always recognize me. But at times I do not recognize them when I see them. And they will say, hey, you haven't changed, oh, you haven't changed. You are still as you was. So me, when I take picture.
No, it's not that.
But where I say, when are you talking about?
You still think you look the same?
Yeah, I think so.
So in your primary school till now, you still look the same?
Okay, slight difference. Putting up weight. Putting up weight a little. Yeah, the height has also raised a little. But the face, dear, I don't think it has changed.
Olivia, have you married? Are you married?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay, so that's okay. Other person. Esther, I called you. Esther.
Yes, sir.
Esther, you too. Have you married?
So when I gave birth to my first son, I changed.
Simple. When you gave birth to your first daughter, you have changed there?
Yes.
Esther,
I quite remember I met my JHS mate, and she couldn't recognize me.
She couldn't recognize you?
Because I have become fat.
Yes, you put on
when
a bit
I was
more
in
weight.
School, I was slim. Yes, I have put enough weight.
So for most women, it is when they give birth that is the turning point. So they move from the Coca-Cola shape that we love into a beer bottle or a malt bottle. all the caps fill up. All the caps they fill up. And very few of them are able to maintain their weight. Why? Because in the African mentality, if a woman gives birth, she needs to eat to be able to feed the baby. So before you wake up, your mother will give you much kinky. And then you will goggle it down. Then in the morning, early morning, she'll give you, let's say, yam with contombre. You eat that one. So the mash kinky is a full kinky that she has blended. Though. You eat that around let's say 7:30. By 8 o'clock, your yam and stew is ready. Then by 12, at times even 11, fufu is ready with palm nut soup. And this palm nut soup is
Ah,
special. This one is special. It has ability.
Hey, sir.
What?
You have
All
been
the meat.
calculating you.
cockroach or so.
Yes. That palm nut soup is thick, very thick. Now I shake. By 4, she give you another meal. 6 or 7, another one before you go and sleep. And then around 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, all this is for breast milk.
Yes. But baby Nasa no benom.
Yes, for breast milk for the baby. Hey,
Ayo.
the boy, the baby boys. Hey, they suck,
Ah.
Papa.
Oh. That's what you always say. So by 2, 3 months after before she resume work, oh, everything has filled up. And you see, the thing with weight is that it is very easy to put on weight, but extremely difficult to lose weight. So if you are fortunate and you have your mother too around, she'll come and stay with you. She'll do all the house chores and make sure that you rest well. So that when she's going for your weighing with you, everybody who sees you say, oh, you have become fine, as we say in our Ghanaian language. Why you fine, no? Why you fine, no? They must say, thank you, thank you. Then, after a year or 2, when the child has stopped, Samuel, if you are not going to God, why? Mute yourself. So, after you want the child of the breast milk, it becomes difficult to maintain your weight. So for most women, the turning point is when they give birth. For the men, most of them do is when they get married. Before married, 6 packs.
Yes, sir. Yes.
The moment they get married, the 6 pack reduced to 1 big pack. Because all the experiment of your wife, the final destination is your stomach. And then you look well, so you look well, and then you change from that youthful, energetic image to the daddy image. I call it the daddy image, where now you have 1 big pack. So that's the turning point. Hello.
Hallelujah.
Hello.
Maintaining your normal physique. The turning point is that transition between what you used to look and how you look now. That's the middle. And then change is a change from how you used to look to your present condition. So let's apply the same principle in history. I want to understand whether you have understood what we mean by continuity, turning point, and change. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we say a key point to consider in this one is looking at for change when there's supposed to be continuity, and to look for continuity when there's supposed to be a change. What it means is that we always don't take things on the face value. you always want to critique to find out whether indeed there has not been any change in the person when we are describing continuity. To say judgment of continuity and change can be made on a basis of comparison between some points in the past and the present. To assess continuity and change in history requires a comparison over time. So there are 5 factors that we can consider in establishing continuity and change. 1 is consistency of direction. Consistency of direction. So the origins and subsequent development or evolution of a historical event or harmony, that you see that there is consistency in the history account that you are given without much change. So let's take how we name people. In the account version, we name children on the 8th day. So when a child is born, is considered as a visitor. But on the 8th day, that is when a child is officially welcomed to be a member of the community. So how we name our children from antiquity to present is mostly done early in the morning by elders of the family, and it involves both sides. The form and shape has not changed much till now. So we still name our children. But if we go into the details of how we name our children, we can see changes. What are some of the changes that you observe in how we name children, particularly in the Akan society? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. You are listening.
I said, what are some of the changes that have occurred in how we name children?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
One of the changes that has occurred in how we name children in the Akan has to do with the time, the time, and then the materials that we use in naming.
Okay.
In naming the children, and then also the event itself.
Okay.
The event itself. So these are some of it.
Can you be more detailed? Yes.
For example, the time, as you are saying, in the ancient days, within the first 8 days.
Yeah.
That is now watching within that time. The accounts believe that the child is a spirit. And so within the first 8 days, if the child does not go back to the ancestors, the child has to be named.
Yeah.
And welcome into the society.
Okay.
But now there has been a change. Sometimes if the parents are Christians, some even wait 3 months, some 1 month or 2 before the child is named.
Okay.
So then again, I was talking about the materials. For example, these days, either Christians or yes, if the parents are Christians, the child would have to be taken to the church premises for the pastor to pray for the child and name. But gone are the days, or in the ancient days, the child will be there is water and then alcohol.
Okay.
Water and alcohol is used to for the child to taste, to know the difference between alcohol and water. And also the time itself. During the ancient days, early in the morning, at least 5 a.m. 5 a.m. the family gathers, and then they libate and perform that rite. But these days, some even do it in the evening, in the afternoon, in the mid-morning. So these are some of the changes that has occurred in the naming of children.
Yes. So you could say that a major factor in how we name children is modernity and Christianity. Because hello, Ashaka, your hand is up.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sir, I just wanted to add a little
okay,
with regards to the notes. What
okay,
has changed
okay,
within time?
okay.
At first, when they are to name a child,
Okay.
they will first seek the blessings of the gods, and then
Mm-hmm.
within 7 days, then they spread the news of a new baby being born into the family, and
Yeah.
then with cola nuts, water, and then they will just call some few people to come, and then the baby's mother is ushered, the baby is ushered into the family, and then a name is given. Then
Yeah.
they shave the hair, and then from there, people will greet the mother, and then it ends there, just simple like that.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's still the same process, but modernity has set in. It gets to a point where they even bring stereos and then bands to play
Okay.
to show excitement of a newborn into the family, and the dressing as well. The mother used to just maybe dip into a wardrobe and then select any nice dress to wear. But now
Mhm.
they set off the whole naming ceremony on its own, knew everything for the mother to dress from head to toe, and then the baby
Of
to
course.
dress as well.
Okay.
So all those things, and then gifts, giving the mother
Oh,
gifts. The gifts were usually not that
Yeah,
much,
she can now pick
but
up a bit.
now, but
go ahead.
now,
Don't worry.
when you even go to a naming ceremony and you don't have a parcel, they might not even give you a seat.
Okay.
Yes.
So yes. So these are some of the directions or things that we have seen. So consistency. A time that we were sticking to the 8 days naming, we were very traditional, and therefore gods were evoked but to bless the child and the family. Those are the things that we can talk about. Consistency of direction, right? Then we say periodicity of event, the element of time. Without time, it will be difficult to establish that something has changed or something has remained the same. To establish continuity and team, one, you need a consistency in direction, and two, the element of time. Are we clear? So let's move on. So we said the length of causal regression, the duration of which a change can be attributed to a particular action or inaction. So say a causal reaction. So an example that we used, the causal reaction is modernity as well as religion. First, initially, we're very traditional African religion. Now we are more of Christian and Islamic based religion. And that has influenced our worldview, right? Modernity, in a sense that previously we were attributing everything that we do with spirit. Now there is science. People feel that by 8 days, the child immunity is not too strong. And therefore, exposing such a child to a large gathering of people, the child might be contaminated. People who would want to handle the child, they might get infected. People are not handle the child very well. So let's wait 2 months, 3 months when a child's immunity is strong enough before we invite people over to come and name the child. Then modernity also dictates that now with the social class and everybody wants to climb the social ladder, a simple ceremony that involved at most, let's say 20 or less people from both sides of the family now has become a social gathering where large crowds of people gather and a lot of cost is incurred to show our social status that we have also arrived, right? So causal regression. Then we say stability of the rate of change, right? If there is a change in how we do things, how stable is it? Is it just, let's say, transitional? It just happens and goes. Or that change also persists over time. So the possibility to compute the rate of change and accordingly to raise the question regarding continuity and change behavior at a rate. So we need to see if when a change occurred from what it used to be, that is what we mean by change. Then, very important is the turning point, the intersection between the tradition, let's say the old tradition, and then the new tradition is what we term as a turning point, and they are very, very important. So we used to be people that, let's say, were self-governed, right? Then we went under colonial rule, and that is a change that occurred. And then from there, we come to post-colonial, where now we govern ourselves. So we can talk about consistency in tradition between pre-colonial and then from there, or the turning point is the colonial era. And then from the colonial era to the modern era is what we term as the change that have occurred. Now we are no longer ruled by chiefs, but now we have a centralized system of governance, which we celebrate as a republic. So there's continuity, there's a turning point, and there is change. Is there any question? Hello? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, Ashika.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So when you are to explain this,
Yeah.
continuity and change, you can take any scenario that you can explicitly explain, right? For instance, we can take our funeral.
Yes, you can pick anything that has
and
some
then
historical.
Explain it in that regard.
Yes, anything that
Okay.
has some historical or cultural significance you can use to explain continuity and change, and then turning point for us.
Okay. Thank you very
Now,
much.
so now let's move to the next one. We say analysis of cause and consequence. Analysis of cause and then consequence. Observe this, the image or the slide very well and tell me what you observed there. Analysis of cause and consequence. Harriet, again. Harriet, your hand is up. Hello, Harriet. Oh, it's an old one. Hey, Rich Bay. Rich Bay, what do you observe on the slide? Hello?
Yes, sir.
I want the observation. What can you see from the slide?
Yes, sir. So from the picture, the woman driving is concentrating on her phone, and then an aged man is crossing by, and then assuming it looks as if the driver hit the old man.
So the slide is gone.
The slide
You
is
can't
gone.
see the picture again.
Are you sure?
Maybe it's at your end.
Okay, it will come if it's internet will come back.
No, rather
No,
your
it's not
end. I
on.
can
It's
see
still
that.
on.
It's
Yeah, I
still
can
there.
see.
Okay.
Maybe it might be at your end.
Okay. Olivia,
Yes, sir.
share your experience with us. What do you see?
As my sister was saying, the lady is concentrating on her phone, and there is an old man crossing the road. So I don't know what will happen, but we have a crashed vehicle also at the other side. That's what I can see.
Okay. So if you are to pinpoint a particular cause of an accident, what is the cause of the accident?
Inattentiveness on the part of the lady.
The driver is rather concentrating on a phone.
Oh, my internet is gone. Hello?
Yes, sir.
I say.
It's now back.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have several. If we are to pinpoint a cause, what do you think is the cause of an accident?
The driver's inattentiveness.
Okay. That is why they always say that when you are driving, you don't have to keep your eyes off the road even for a short time. You need to concentrate. And us being people that are attracted by eyes, when we are driving, we look at everything from our left, from our right, and in front and our back. It is only God that keeps us driving all the time. So you could say that, yes, the inactiveness or the handling of the phone is likely to be the cause of an accident, assuming this is a real accident that we are investigating. So the handling of the phone, texting whilst driving, or calling whilst driving is likely to be the cause of this accident. So in history too, we at times attribute certain events to a particular cause. And it's the historian's role to help us understand some of the triggers or the causes of history. So the historian's role is to give an account of what, how, and why events in the past occurred as they did. Right? What, how, and why. The why is the cause. Right? The cause of something is the why. Causation may therefore be seen as a branch of historical explanation used to answer these basic questions. It is important for the historian not only to establish cause, but to demonstrate the connections between one event and another. So when a historian is writing, he's not just narrating an incident. He needs to explain why the incident occurred in the first place. So we ask ourselves, why were Ghanaians expelled from Nigeria and they term it as Ghana must go? So there was a time in our history when our brethren that were in Nigeria, Ghanaians, were sacked and asked to come back to Ghana. Given the cordial relationship, at least on the face value, between Ghanaians and Nigerians, you ask yourself, why would the government arise in Nigeria and will sack Ghanaians from that country? Can you pinpoint any cause? Hello? Hello?
Yeah,
I'm asking, Was there any cause? Or the Nigerians got up and said that Ghanaians in Nigeria should leave? Hello? Oh,
Sir.
was there any cause?
Yeah, so there was a cause.
What was the cause?
During the time of Prime Minister Buzi's time, there was this policy called alliance compliance, which forced most of the Nigerians, because of the situation that there was a petty trade and that the Nigerians were engaging with the Ghanaians, and therefore he wanted the Nigerians to go. So around the 80s, the same action were taken against Ghana, that we should also come back to our hometown. Our home country.
So you do me, I do you. We passed the law, Aliens Compliance Act, that all foreigners in Ghana were given a certain deadline to go back to their country, because we attributed most crimes to them, and we felt that they were taking over our trading business, Mami Alata. In every community, there was a Mami Alata, whose goods were far, far cheaper than that of the Ghanaian. So you go and buy Mami Alata. That is why you go and buy from a fellow Ghanaian, because a fellow Ghanaian's cost will be high compared to Mami Alata. And our women and our business people, they don't see any sense in learning the skills or entrepreneurial skills of the foreigners, but rather we decided that they should go back. So when we sacked them, they also sacked us. So there was a cost. Harriet, your hand is still up. Hello? Harriet? Or is an old one? Harriet, AJ, do you want to ask a question? Hello? So let's make progress. So we say establishing the reasons for people's actions and inaction and the aftermath of those decisions, understanding the actions of people in the past have an impact on us today, and appreciating that our actions will have consequences for future generations. Everything that we do, right, may have a consequence, either for good or for bad. Right? And that's what we term as continuity and change. But they said the inherent difficulty in establishing causality is the challenge of selecting from what is often a plurality of causes, which may affect any single event in the past. So you see, there might be a number of causes, but we need to review the causes to pinpoint that this particular one, above all others, may be the reason for this or that reaction. Are we clear? Hello?
Hi.
It is like
Yes, sir.
a marriage relations, particularly on the part of women. They might have 1,001 reasons to leave, but they will not until something another one happens. So they will catalog all your sins and will tell you the one that broke the camel's back, and that made them make their mind that enough was enough. So all the others, which the sins that you committed, are causes, but she will rank it and say, this one is the one that made me make up my mind that I want to leave. Are you clear? Hello?
Hello, sir. We are clear on that.
Okay. So we say Carl. Carl is a historian. believe that a true historian's role is having assessed the cause of an event to form them into a hierarchy of importance. He arranges, right, in establishing a variety of causes. So how was it done? He says that the first is to assessing causal relationship within history. They establish that, okay, A was caused by B. That's the first one. Then 2, balancing the major concerns of the priority among the many. What are the issues, right? And then you arrange them in successions. So this one follow that one, this one follow that one, so that we can see the one that tipped it off. And then again, there's always an element of free will and chance in history, as expressed by historians. Right, so yes, you should be able to establish a number of causes. Among a number of causes, we should know the issues. After having considered the issues, we form a hierarchy, arrange them in succession. Excuse me. Then we should also be mindful that there is an element of free will or chance in history. A lot of historians maintain that the Big Six was just a hoax, right? There was nothing like a Big Six. The Big Six came about as a result of chance. People have gone out rioting, and the government of the day had to blame people. And it so happened that the petition that the protesters presented, right, was dictated by Akwaji because he was a lawyer, but written by Kwame Nkrumah. You understand what I'm saying? The petition that the protester presented was dictated by Akwaji, but written by Kwame Nkrumah. So when the people went rioting, they examined the handwriting and knew that the handwriting was that of Kwame Nkrumah. So they wanted to arrest Kwame Nkrumah. And it so happened that when they went to arrest him, he was in a meeting with Akwaji, with all those people. And obviously, almost all of them denied that they knew nothing about the petition. But Nkrumah said he wrote it because it was in his handwriting. And all of them were arrested and put in jail. They were just, some of them were just present at the wrong time. And then the news headline, when they were arrested, they said that the government have arrested the Big Six. And that is how come the name stuck. Edward Akufo-Addo and the rest just happened to be in a meeting with Kwame Nkrumah when they sought to arrest him. So there's an element of chance. So you can't rule that away from the causes of history. At times, we just act impulsively, not based on any preconceived notions or actions. And the action might cause a historical turning point, and therefore it also becomes part of our history. I don't know whether if you understood this point very well. Hello?
Hi, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right, sir.
Is it clear?
It's
So-
clear.
Okay. So why is it important to establish cause and events? We say it helps to make events in the past coherent and intelligible. When we're talking about people expelling Ghanaians from Nigeria, if we do not know what happened before, it doesn't make sense because we have nationals almost in every country. There's no country where we don't have people from other countries being in that country. Every country has people from other countries there, either working or schooling or something. Nowhere do we have only Ghanaians or let's say Nigerians present. There is always a multiplicity of people. Just hold on a few minutes. I want my phone is almost going down, and that's the hotspot I'm using. Let me pick the charger, and then we'll continue. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just hold on a few minutes.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, is that at my end? I can't hear anything.
He has
He said
exclusive.
he's putting a tagger.
We'll come back.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hi, sir.
Sorry about that. Okay. So we say that it helps to make events of the past coherent and then intelligible. With that, we're also able to make comparisons, right? Make comparison between what we did, we expelled Nigerians from Ghana, and what they also did. What are the differences and the similarities between them? And then we can also make predictions. If we're able to establish a cause of something, if a similar thing is happening, then we are able to say that this might be the likely result out of the actions that we have taken. So you're able to make predictions and then we make generalization. And it helps us to establish historical perspective that shapes our current discourse and then future development. Now what about this one? We say multiple perspective. The historian considers multiple perspective in his approach or thinking to life. So what figure is there? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hi.
What number is there?
Sir, depending on where you are standing, it could be 6 or 9.
Yes. So that is the answer. So where you are standing determines what you see. Right? For most of us, when we were a child, how we perceive life is different from how we perceive it now. We thought our parents were too stingy, they didn't love us. That is why they didn't take us to a lavish place on the vacations and stuff. When you grow, and then you appreciate things better because you know that there's light bill to pay, there's school fees to pay, there's rent to pay, and therefore you need to prioritize. And you prioritizing means that you have to cut out some excessive expenditures so that you can afford the things that are important. But when you were a child, you didn't see things that way. Hello? So that is perspective. There might not be any. Hello? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now we are with you.
Okay. Depending on where you stand, you see things differently. So perspective. The Ghanaian economy, the views of NDCs, maybe the economists and NPP economists. Do you think it's the same?
No.
If
No,
you call
sir.
NPP
No,
and
sir.
NDC, yes. NPP will insist that things have deteriorated. NDC will say, oh, things have improved. Those are perspectives and be influenced by their political polarization. So we say multiple perspective entails the ability to describe, compare, and evaluate various worldviews on historical development within a society, various chronology, and geographical context. So we have different perspectives. In your family, how you see your family, you the father, you see it differently. The mother sees it differently. The children differently. If you're a father, you think that you are providing what you can to make the family survive and thrive. What the women also look out for in most relationships is different. At times we think it's all about money, but no. Women want attention, right? They want a man that is dependable, a man that they can trust, a man that will not shout upon them, even in the presence of friends. A man also's perspective is different. He wants a woman that is submissive, a woman that is supportive, a woman that will respect his privacy, give him some space. Every man has a box that it contains nothing. A man can sit in some corner for, let's say, 30, 45 minutes, and he's not thinking about anything, he's just there. But the woman can't do that. A woman must necessarily think about something. So a man loves his space. And yes, at times the women also need their space. When they are too stressed out, they want a place to at least rejuvenate and recuperate in life. For a child, his worldview is different. He wants the consumables. Buy this for me, buy that for me. And if you cannot buy, you're a bad father, or a bad mother. So perspective differ. So researchers have noticed that the willingness to take another perspective can reduce when an individual feels emotionally connected with a topic. That is, if you are affected, they say he who feels it knows it. Right? So if you are able to take another person's perspective, right, then you begin to appreciate that person's perspective better. So these are ways of looking at things from various perspectives. We say subject position. Hello.
Hi, sir.
Hello.
Hi, sir, we are listening.
If you want to consider perspective, it's not about listening. I want feedback. If you want to consider perspective, it says there are three ways of going about it. The first is what we term as the subject position. That is the subject positioned in the past, the time of the event, phenomenon, or figure. So when an issue happened, we ask the question, where were you? What do you think we want to establish by asking, where were you? Hello? If something happens,
Hello.
yes, if something happens and you want to share your account and they ask you, where were you? What do they want to establish?
The truth.
Maybe whether you are an eyewitness.
Yes, they want to assess your credibility. Right? Were you present? Did you see the thing yourself or you were told? Why is it important?
So at the end of the day, it will help them to justify whether what you are saying is true.
So why is it that where you is important? Why would they? What they? Hello.
Sir, to check the credibility of the maybe the story or the point you will give them.
Hello. Nora, go ahead.
To check the credibility of the information you will give them.
Okay. So why is it that as more? Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I said, what is it about if you are present? Why do they perceive that your account will be more credible?
Because you will be able to see exactly what happened. You'll be able to give the exact account of what transpired.
Yes, the thing will be fresh in your mind. Therefore, you can relay it to another person, right? It happened right in front of you. So you can relive this situation. If somebody told you, chances are that the person has distorted some of the facts is high. That is why we are also always interested in eyewitness account. Right. So the positioning is important. So the position, subject position in the past, the time that the thing happened. The second is subject position between the past and the present. What do you think that also means?
They want to establish
Hello?
correlation between the present and the past. So that if it is
Yes, so if you were present at the time, That is the past. And now, your perspective also is a bit different because you have had time to reflect. Do you get it? You have had time to reflect. That is why when something happens, the police always want to take your account, your statement there on the spot. Because when you go to your house, after talking to people and they sharing their perspective, your account will change. Because right on the spot, you cannot think straight. You cannot think about any. It is what has happened that you say it as you saw it. It's like if you are involved in an accident, right, and your car has not been involved in an accident before. If the police or somebody is asking you what happened, you can even indict yourself because that is what happened, right? But if you go home and then you relate and people say, don't tell this to the police. If you tell this to the police, it means that you are at fault. They begin to change the story. So by the following day, the story has changed. Is it clear?
So it's clear.
And the present position, the position in the present is that you are looking at the past from the view of the present. You didn't see the thing, but from what you gather, this is what you think happened. But the conditions then and now may differ, really. So we say the first layer. The first layer is a temporal layer. In the past refers to the perspective of subjects who are contemporaries, eyewitness of the historical objects. This means the first source of information is the primary source. They are people, documents, relics that can be traced to be closely associated with the object of interest or the historical problem posed. Primary source can be used to represent the perspective of the constructors of the source. They lived it themselves. And therefore, when they are talking, they are authorities on their own. So the first layer, for example, to know the actual intent of the freedom fighters in the struggle for Ghana's independence, letters or correspondence between the leadership of the United Gold Coast Convention, that's UGCC, or dedicated elite, or the British authority, will constitute an ideal primary source because they are positioned in the past. Do you get the argument we are making? Letters between, let's say, Nkrumah and then Akwaje, between Akwaje and let's say Obeche Bilamte, between Obeche Bilamte and Pagrant. Those are primary sources, right? On those is what we term as the first layer. Why? Because they are the key architects of our independence. So that's the primary source. Now let's consider the secondary source. We say the secondary or the second temporal layer is termed between the past and the present. This refers to perspective of subjects that did not live simultaneously with the object, but they succeeded the object in time and have somehow been concerned with the historical object and its interpretation. So they were not eyewitness. They lived some 5 years, some 2 years after the event. But because they are interested in what happened, they have learned about the past and they can talk authoritatively about the past. When I was talking about this, I have in mind Kwesi Pratt and Dokubaku. When we're talking about our independence, they were not present. But because of the connections of their fathers, especially for Kukubaku, his father was a minister and Nkrumah. He has some in-depth knowledge about our independence and what have you. He has documents that even at times it appears the state do not have. Why? Because of his interest. The perspective about Kukubaku, about Ghana's past, might be labeled as second temporal layer because he was not present. Even if he was present, he was just a baby at the time. So he lived shortly after our independence. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
So the
Hello, sir.
views of historians, of politicians, of journalists, of citizens who display their interpretations and views on the historical object because it relates somehow to their own time. Right. So they are not eyewitnesses, but surely after. So that is, I think, is clear. You understand what that means. Now let's look at the tail layer. So in the tail layer, we say in the present refers to the subject. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Who live in the present and take a contemporary position towards a historical object of interest. So it's like me trying to talk about Ghana's independence. I was not born anywhere close to Ghana's independence. I have no idea in terms of, let's say, actual lived experience as to how to live under colonial rule. And therefore, some of the things that I will say may be completely far from the reality. Because I can't even understand why probably a few white-looking people, whether with guns or not, right, could subdue and control the whole of Ghana. How many British came here? How many were they? And they were capturing our people, and then we couldn't mobilize and go and kill them or go and drive them away. You see, this is talking from a modern perspective. Have you seen who has witnessed a gun being fired close to your ear before? Hello?
No.
Yes,
Have you witnessed a gunshot close to yourself before?
No. Gunshot, yes. Gunshot.
A gunshot, yes.
Yes.
Close range.
Yes.
Several
Some of us
times.
have lived close to barracks.
Even barracks, okay, barracks.
And those of us at
Fine,
the
but
village, when you go for hunting.
I was also shot by armed robber.
Even they fire into the air. Have you seen a human being shot before? Hey. You see, even shooting an animal is different from shooting a human being. When they shoot a human being close to you, right, all your soul within you would vanish. Temporarily, you are not yourself. It is like being robbed. If somebody says, oh, he was sleeping and at the time he woke up, somebody had a gun or a knife to the throat, you cannot relate until it happens to you. You say, so why didn't you shout? Or why didn't you do this? Unless it happened to you. You are sleeping in a room that you think is fortified. And then something suddenly wakes you up, you open your eyes, and somebody is holding a gun at you and says, keep quiet. You'll be shocked, and shocked is not even a, you'll be dumbfounded. But the person, if you are not careful, you see some people will even carry their own TV and accompany the thieves with it. So it is after when people come and they are shouting, what happened? And you are narrating, so why did you carry your TV and follow to give to him? Unless it happened to them, they won't understand. So that is the perspective of taking a modern perspective. So say, although a clear distinction can be drawn between the past and the present, the perspective that such a subject brings to bear on historical interest have the benefit of hindsight knowledge or informed reflexivity, reflexivity, right? So it's like they ask you a question at an interview, and for a moment you go blank. When you come out of the interview room or in the examination room and you ask a person and he give you an answer. And you at times you wonder why in the exams you couldn't remember such a thing. Hindsight. Right? So the perspective differ. So you should always interrogate this. Where was the person? Did he leave that time? Or did he leave shortly after? Or is he a modern person speaking? The fact that the person is talking from a contemporary perspective does not also necessarily negate the fact that probably he might also have a better view or better understanding of what happened in the past. Because he had read from various sources, have done an analysis, and then he can give you a better, unbiased interpretation of what happened. Even better than a person that lived shortly after. But ordinarily, we are talking about perspective. What you should know is that there are 3 layers. People that experienced it, people that came shortly after, and people that came way, way, way after the incident. And these perspectives differ. And these perspectives account for the differences in the analysis that we give. So we said this 10 layer creates the connections between the temporal source and the present perspective. It can also include the insights shared by current politicians, historians, journalists, or citizens, showing concern with the object. Another 2 groups that are important are the perspectives of teachers and learners. Teachers and learners alike ought to realize that perspectives are personal and that teachers and students themselves are consumers of historical, critical, or critically accepting the construction presented by others or even by making their own constructions of the past. So perspectives are personal because your experiences will determine how you interpret something. Hello?
Hello, sir. We are here.
I said your experiences would explain how you interpret something. Right? Usually, if I'm talking about somebody who has experienced something, at times I want to keep quiet and listen to the person before I make any submissions. Because the person that has experienced it might not be thinking right. The person is still emotional. And therefore, if you want to be right, you might offend the sensibility of the person. So you need to take all those into consideration. Is there any question? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any question? Okay. Now let's pick the last one. The last one has to do with what we term as empathy and moral judgment. Empathy and moral judgment. What do you think is happening here?
Yeah, please, somebody microphone.
Hello, Doc.
Yeah, hello.
All right. I want to find out the perspectives. Is it the same as the contemporary, the quasi, the ones that we have in the nature of history? I think the explanation you are giving.
Yes, it's the same.
Oh,
the same. Yeah, it's the same. So we have the contemporary, we have the quasi contemporary, and then we have the remotes. It's the same thing we are talking about now. And considering perspective, you have to consider the position of the person. If the person is in the past, is a contemporary. If he lives shortly after, it is quasi contemporary. And then if he lives many, many years after the incident and is not directly related, then it's a remote source. And I'm saying that the perspective differ. based on the position of the person that is recounting the incident. Now, observe this slide and tell me what you think is happening. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes,
Yes,
what do you think is happening?
So we are with you.
Yeah, ask you what is happening. What can you observe from the slides I've given you?
Sir,
We see two
even though
sisters.
they are all using the same device, they are trying to look at how each of them feel in what the instrument that they are using.
Okay. Any other? Any other observation?
Looking at the binoculars they are using, the one with the black pink dress is looking at the perspective of the blue shirt one, and then
Okay.
vice versa. So they are trying to be in each other's shoes to actually
Very
see what one feels.
Okay. And that is exactly what the point that I'm driving. Now we look at issues not from our personal perspective, but from the perspective of others. And that's what we term as will help us to develop empathy for them. If something happens and you take the perspective of the other person, you begin to understand the other person better. And then your judgment of his actions or inactions is a bit milder than when you stand on your own high moral horse and you begin to pontificate or to judge or to criticize the other person without trying to appreciate the conditions that helped him or that propelled him to take those decisions. So usually when I'm doing this, I use the letters of JB Dankwa and Nkrumah, right? I'll first give them the letters of JB Dankwa, writing to Nkrumah, begging that he should be released from prison. And then he reminds Nkrumah of even their own experience together when they were captured under this so-called, that gave them their name Big Six. Now, when they were arrested, they were separated, all right. They were not all put in one cell, right? But they were given opportunities to learn, to exercise, and they had better burdens. But in his case, when he was incarcerated, he had to sleep on a bare floor, and at some point, even begged for a blanket. He was not given the opportunity to exercise, right? So he was begging that his life be spared, that he's released. He was captured without probably having made plans for his family. So as he was in prison, he was contemplating about the plans of his family and how they will be able to feed. So when I give them those letters, they all begin to now appreciate
Hello.
Oh, now we can't hear it, Kura.
He has gone off.
I've got no friend.
Yes, maybe nothing.
Maybe he has network challenge.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, hello. Is it my phone?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry about
Hi.
that.
Hello.
My phone just went off. Asemo.
You're welcome back, sir.
Okay. So so the last point we are making is that we need to look at issues from perspective of others, and then we can better appreciate issues from their perspective. It's like if let's say if you marry first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, first 2 years, your first 2 years and you get pregnant and you give birth. When I'm talking about childbirth issues, your position is different. If somebody also spends about 5, 10 years before he gets a child, his position is different. And somebody who has also married 10, 15 years and doesn't have a child, his position is different. But
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Please, we can't hear you.
Okay, I'm coming.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
No.
Maybe
Is it better now? Is it better now?
Yes.
If
Sir,
someone complains, she cannot hear.
Maybe it's the end.
Okay, so the point I'm making is that perspective matter. So we say historical empathy involves understanding how people of the past, they thought, they felt, and made decisions and acted, and faces questions within a specific historical and social context. Perspectives are not the same, right? So before you pass a judgment, before you make any misguided utterances, it's better to understand the context, right? I use this story that the people of Konyako were instrumental in Nkrumah's victory, electoral victory. We asked them, what do they want? And you know what they asked
Brass
for?
band.
Yes, sir.
Brass band.
Signboard.
They picked the Konyako is brass band. Around commander area, those are the people that ask for a signboard. But today, if you hear that, let's say JDM went to a community and asked them what they wanted, and they say they want a signboard, you might think they are stupid, right? But then that was the thing that was the most important to them. Like what we asked today, if we ask somebody if you ask a lady, what do you want? And let me see who I should ask this question. Oh, if you have a pictures, no man head here. I'm so a bad guy, pa. Cindy.
Yes, sir.
Cindy, if a guy should ask you, what do you want? What would you say?
I'm a kind for 16.
I need a car. I need a car.
You need a car.
Yeah.
Most of them will say iPhone 16.
No, me, I need a car.
You need a car. Yes, but now you think you need a car. Give it 10, 5, 10, 50 years, and you wouldn't ask for a car. Why? Because a car is commonplace now, and you could afford that on your own. You don't need anybody to buy you a car. So even saying a car, you think you have mentioned something that is, let's say, quite precious. But 10, 15 years, you won't need that. But majority of them will go for a mobile phone. And he's not employed, but he wants a mobile phone. Very expensive mobile phone. Where even if the screen cracks, you don't have money to go and repair. But that is what we talk about. So when we are also considering perspectives, right, there are a few things that we need to consider. The first is the historical contextualization. We say a temporal sense of difference that includes a deeper understanding of the social, political, cultural norms leading up to that historical situation and other relevant events that are happening concurrently. So we want to understand the historical context so that we have a better appreciation of the issue. The second is perspective taking. So once we understand the context, now what are the key perspectives? What are the key arguments that is being advanced? So this detailed understanding of another proud lived experience, principles, positions, attitudes, and beliefs, in order to understand how that person might have thought about the situation in question. Very important. So first is the context. Then the second, we are looking at perspective, looking at the issues from every key actor's point of view. So that is perspective taking. Then we talk about affective connection, considering how historical figures, lived experiences, situations, or actions may have influenced by their affective response based on the connections made to one's own similar yet different life experience. So now we are trying to understand why this person, we now know the positions, like the perspectives. Why is he arguing this way? Why does he think this way? What are some of the factors that will make the person think this way? That's what we term as affective connections. Is it clear? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hi, sir. It's clear.
So we look at the context,
Yeah.
we take perspective, and then we look at the reasoning for the perspectives. And then, in sum, we say historical thinking skills is the process of engaging the learner with the processes of doing history. So we are not only teaching them to read and understand history, but we are helping them to take on the mindset of the historian so that they would do exactly what a historian would do when he's presented with any historical account or incident or object to examine. Learners are encouraged to verify all sources and critique all interpretations and perspectives. However, they are to take the social, cultural, religious, political, economic influence of historical issues into consideration before they make a conclusion. So historical thinking skills is something that we should engage in even in our lived experiences, right? What are the cause and effect? What are the various perspectives on the issues? What are the most significant things as far as this incident or history that I'm reviewing is concerned, right? How did the person who were the key actors, how did they feel about this incident, right? Before we take a decision. In our practical lives, before we pass judgment, before we come to any conclusion, let's consider perspective. Let's consider content. Let's examine the evidence before we make conclusions. So that we will take better decisions and will become better citizens in Ghana. Any question? Hello?
Hi.
Hi,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
That before we please repeat.
Yes.
Hello,
Nora?
sir.
Sir,
Yes.
please
Sir,
repeat
this,
the last statement you made.
Okay, I'm saying
That before.
it is like the application of what we have learned, the historical thinking skills. Before you
Yes.
make any judgment or you come to any conclusion on a matter, please take your time to decide what is significant and what is not. Examine the evidence that are available to you. and always go there with that critical mind to consider all aspects of the evidence that are available to you. Consider perspectives. What are the perspectives to the issue? Try and see things from the other person's perspective. And then we'll make better decisions for ourselves and that of our families. That is all I have to say on this matter. That is the real life application of what we learned today. Is there any question?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any question? So I think we've come to the end of this course. You already have this slides, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
I'll give you a sample of either last year's or last 2 years, the quiz, and then probably the end of semester examination question. If after going through you have any issue, you can WhatsApp me and then I'll respond to it. Is that clear?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've seen that somebody says that he doesn't have. Okay, I'll repost after this class. Right? But
Okay, sir.
you can discuss it on your various centers. And then if you have questions, you can always post them to me. I wish you all the best of quiz 1.
Okay, sir.
The only thing I will tell you about the quizzes is that, please, these days, the quizzes test critical thinking. So take your time, read the questions, and then weigh your options before you select an answer. Once you select an answer, multiple choice quiz 1, quiz 2, I will not be the one to mark. Code will do for people to mark it themselves because it is objective. It is the end of semester examination that I will mark. But even there, we can also always give it to any of your tutors to mark. But you see, everybody wants to be fair. It's not that because I know you will have to call me and then probably have to give you marks. No. If I'm sharing marks, I share marks across the board.
God bless you, sir.
Do you get me?
Yes, sir.
So please, steady. If you have questions, ask me. I will respond to them. And then, especially with the essay questions, if you are answering, there are about 4 options. You are answering only 2. Don't pick the most difficult. Pick the ones that you understand and can answer confidently. Make sure that if there is demanding 4 points, you have all your 4 points there and you think it is solid, then you go ahead and pass. When you get A, all of us are happy. I had a situation where 2 weeks ago I was called to code that a student has called for remarking. Obviously, he's a good student. Almost all the papers he had A. He had B in nature of history. And they had called for remarking. When I took the script, I realized that the person had deviated. He was supposed to talk about why history is not a science. And then he argued why history is a science. How can I give you marks? So I just pointed out to the head of department that the person deviated. And I explained the question, and then the answer that was expected. And I had to go. That is what I'm saying. Take your time. Read and make sure you understand the question before you attempt answering the questions. For the end of semester, when I'm done, I'll give you areas. But for the quiz, it is multiple choice. So we'll cover all the slides that we've done. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Nature is the card.
But even that one.
Coming to.
So
quiz 1 or the 2 quizzes.
So please take your time and read, okay? Don't rush. Don't rush through it. Just take your time, read through. The time is enough. 20 questions will give you 35 or 45 minutes for 20 questions. Right? Take your time.
I think it's 25 minutes.
They don't give 25. I give the questions. It's Eric. I give it the maximum I've given is 35 minutes.
We have never quiz one.
But they
For
don't
the
give the
Okay.
35.
It's not.
Yeah, we've not even done 30 minutes
They
before.
give us. They normally give us 20 minutes,
All we
25
do, the
minutes.
first is 25 minutes.
We've never experienced.
Okay, then I'll go the attention because I usually would give 35 minutes, right, on the form. Maybe they change it. I'll ask them why they change it. Because we also know the level of difficulty. I'll draw the attention to it. 25 minutes a bit on the low side. 30 minutes, 35 is okay.
Very well, because the
Right.
questions are
Okay, sir.
sometimes quite
So
lengthy.
we'll be expecting the sample questions too.
Oh, I'll put it.
Yes, enough. Please hammer there again. We beg.
Yeah, hello, Doc.
Is it okay? You say I should hammer the.
Hello, Doc.
Dog is gone.
Yes.
Hello, Doc.
Dog.
Hello, colleagues. Please, some of us are new here. We saw the link and we decided to join. So when the areas come, I beg, share with us, okay?
Hello, Doc.
Dog is not there. It's the network.
Seems he has been cut off.
He will come again.
I don't think he will come again because he's done.
Yeah, it's done. It's done.
No,
Yeah.
he's on. He's not off. He's on.
Please, good evening, your family. If the questions come in, please kindly share. Some of us, by the time we realize everything is, I don't know. So when it comes, please kindly share for all of us. Please.
Always be active on the page. The various pages. Always be active. Always they shared the sample questions on the page. So always be active.
Hello, please. So, some of us are from different centers, and we are all not on the. I don't think these questions will be shared on the official pages. That's why we are saying we should share because some centers like UCC, I think the only time we are together with the other centers maybe during economics, so the economic platform or the main platform. Aside that, we can't connect and get those
Please,
questions.
which center are you?
UCC.
UCC, please.
Okay. Then maybe along the line we can get in touch because on our we've even created a welfare page where we have most of the students without the officers from UCC. So that's where we normally share the sample questions. But on
Can
the
you share
main
the
page,
link so that we also join?
you said
Can you share
You
the
share
link
it on the
so that
main
we
page.
also join?
no, the main page I think is not advisable
Okay,
since a
so
lot of the I'm at West Coast campus Kumasi.
can you give us
So
your
hello,
number
hello,
so we
boss.
WhatsApp you then you send us the
Hello,
link?
boss. Hello, boss.
Okay, I'm at West Coast campus.
Please,
Please send us your
don't
number so
forget
that
that
we
they
can
are
call
recording.
you.
Oh, they are recording. So please be careful. Code is
Boss, you just give
recording.
us
So
your
please be
number.
careful.
054.
0540
Pardon? 054.
0540
Okay.
18
18
29
29
30.
30. Please, the name is Fosu.
Efosu.
Okay, thank you
You are
very much.
even asking him. Yeah? The number is okay.
But
Just
how you
hi him.
Yeah. Okay, bye bye.
Please, it's the classy section.
Okay,